Scoundrels web series and podcast is filmed and recorded in their ship, the Centurion Vulture, and may contain language not suitable for all. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to Scoundrels, y'all. We are broadcasting from the Centurion Vulture. I am CG.
I'm Paul Bannister.
Curtis Wayne Miller standing by.
We are three grown-ass men gathered here, as always, to discuss Star Wars. And this week, we, of course, are discussing The Mandalorian, Season 3, Episode 2. Curtis, you want to give us like a brief little recap of the events of the episode before we jump in?
Yeah, man, I got everything up here on the Vulture's monitor for a little quick recap. Mando, Season 3, Episode 2, The Mines of Mandalore. Ooh. Okay, we start off where everything began, Tatooine. We join up with our favorite Ellen Ripley-inspired mechanic. Looks like she's kind of dealing with one of Greedo's cousins. Mando turns up there for a droid part, his old buddy IG unit. Then she pawns off the old R5 unit on him, and it is confirmed that this R5 unit is indeed R5D4, the one that Luke Skywalker called Red in A New Hope.
It's got a bad motivator.
It's just got a fucked up motivator. In true fashion, it turns out that R5D4 is a bit of a fuck up, and
also true.
Yeah, thank the maker that the Skywalkers didn't buy this little dickweed. So
yeah, no shit.
The galaxy would have been doomed. So Mando, Baby Yoda, and R5 are off to Mandalore, and they are looking for these like dumbass Russian-style baths. And once on Mandalore, they send R5 to take an air sample. Good, like whatever. Oh yeah, he gets lost at Mandalorian, and Mando has to go into this toxic wasteland on his own. So Mando has to go and search for R5, and he rolls into this cave, and he encounters these weird, overaged mutant fighting weirdos. So he finally whips out the Darksaber and beats their ass. He finds R5, and it turns out that Mandalore wasn't toxic all along. Go figure. When searching, Mando finds an old Mandalorian helmet, and it turns out it was a booby trap, and he gets tracked by this weird cybernetic creature. And it looks like this cybernetic creatures look a little bit like he's seen The Matrix one too many times. This cybernetic creature takes him to this weird-ass cave and starts to perform weird acts on him. So Grogu rows back to find Bo-Katan for help. And on his way out of the cave, he uses the Force on one of these fuckers. Turns out Baby Yoda knows a few things. And Bo-Katan looks all depressed when they get back to the castle, but she's still kind of cute. I don't know, we may have a thing for redheads. She races back to Mandalore in her kick-ass ship. Bo-Katan comes across more of these weirdos. Oh wait, then she finds the cybernetic creature who's still fucking with Mando after a little bit of back and forth of a fight. And then finally gets her hands on the Darksaber after a little bit of back and forth, and eventually kicks his ass so hard she kills this cybernetic creature. And then, Mando's still hell-bent after all this bullshit to go to these damn baths. So he finally goes into the baths, he sinks to the bottom, Bo-Katan jumps and saves his ass once again, and then when on their way out, they encounter a mythosaur, which I guess is some kind of Mandalorian mascot.
Oh, yeah.
Fade to back and scene. Shit, I need to tighten that up a little bit, but this is our first time.
Dude, hey.
That's all right. We'll tighten it up next time.
Yeah, I think I need to do about half of that.
Rode the great mythosaur.
Yeah. How does everybody... CG, how'd you feel about the episode overall?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I think we've said it before last time, Andor, where every episode was so, you get so much story. I'm so glad, because I know we were bent up on the bathing thing, why he's so hell-bent on getting the bathe to get, re-entered into the guild or whatever. But they did it quick. It wasn't like it was the whole season meant to be this is the story.
Yeah, amen.
They did it quick. They did it in the very next episode, and I mean... I thought by the time he gets to the pools, I kind of was sentimental because he was so serious about it. And I was like, well, this guy has been doing this his whole life. It was kind of like almost a touching moment of how, you know, the funny thing about Mando and why Pedro's so good at it is that I feel his emotion without even seeing his face. And that moment where he's undoing his, his cape and he's got his, jetpack, you just got that sense like this was very important.
Did you think he was going to get naked?
Dude, I
wondered the same thing. I was like,
I had that thought. I was like, dude, I'm not ready to see this right now. But, whatever. Bring it on.
Are we about to see
but
Pedro's Pascal?
Yeah. I mean, Amy Sedaris.
We're about to see Mandalorian magic underwear?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Magic gilded underwear. Oh, shit. But Amy Sedaris, I just love her. I mean, and...
Is that who Bo-Katan is?
I'm just right back in it.
Yeah. Amy
Sedaris is the mechanic.
Oh, fuck yeah. Ellen Ripley ripoff, but inspired.
Yeah. You ever watched Strangers with Candy, Curtis?
No.
Remember that show?
Shit, why'd I say that so loud?
I mean, Amy Sedaris is like a fucking genius. She's been around for decades doing
she's hilarious.
Awesome. And she's the sister to David Sedaris. Like those two are like more comedic talent than those two humans than any. They're the best.
I'm with you, Chris. She absolutely. I'm so stoked every time they go to Tatooine because I know we're gonna. First of all, we go to Tatooine, which is like always fucking fun, and then second of all, you get to see Ellen Ripley's badass Sedaris, whatever her name is, Sedaris.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm right back on board. That's
I'm with
just
you.
how I'm. Yep.
This was great. I felt the same.
Paul, you're back.
Much better. I'm back. I have. Let's put the short version is, love the episode. I have many questions. Not necessarily like griping with the writing or anything like that. Questions more just like, okay, I'm on board for the lore and the story now. So now I have like a little bit is like you guys might have to refresh Grandpa's memory here on some of the things they've told us about the history of this. And there are some sort of like, I feel like I'll qualify this now. I know that I'm always the guy that's like, this seems a little easy from a writing standpoint. I do that in jest. I don't really expect Star Wars to be fucking Oscar award-winning screenplays. Like, I'm not really expecting that each episode. I have a little fun kind of like smirking at some of these things along the way. And as much as it seems like I'm ripping on it, it's kind of part of the fun. Of course. Like, if I took that shit seriously, I'd be on here like, this show sucks. But I had a fucking blast. Many questions. One, I thought it was pretty funny how like it was so important that IG-11 or whatever the fuck number he is was the droid, and that went out the window in about 2 seconds. It was like, okay, we'll just do R5 is fine. Okay, and then he rolls up there, and he's like, let me pressurize my helmet. Bloop. So he could have always just breathed the air without any droid.
Yeah, like, anyone could have just rolled up there.
And then it opens a bigger question like, what is... And this is where I'm not necessarily critical. I want to like, I genuinely feel like I don't remember some of the information.
But I guess a droid needs to scan it. Go ahead, my bad.
No, you're right. I guess so. But he kept saying take an air sample. But how much does it really matter if he can just pressurize his helmet and breathe the air and bathe in the waters and be redeemed? Maybe the idea is he's trying to learn beyond himself so he can go back to them with credibility and say, hey, don't take my word for it. I took an air sample with this droid. Air is clean, whatever.
Or the droid could maybe record it.
Yeah. Maybe that's the deal.
I think that's good. I think you just answered your own question. I think that
makes sense.
For proof.
Yeah, totally. So if that's the case, that jives. That makes sense of it.
Just like R2 recorded sections.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like the hardcore dogma people, which obviously Mando was a part of, hence the whole bathing in the waters. And then there's like the Bo-Katan sort of like royal family, so to speak, that was a different sect of the belief structure that clearly isn't as dogmatic because she takes her helmet off and whatever. But so Bo-Katan knows that the planet was breathable, and she's under the impression that it's just a big bullshit lie that the religious freaks have come up with to justify something. That's the part that I'm not clear on.
Because I don't fucking know. Well, I'm not clear on that either.
He says something like Bo-Katan was right.
She was right. She, if we go back to season 2, she knew it was right. It's like it's fine, but she's all bent out of shape because she doesn't have the Darksaber, and without the Darksaber, she can't rule shit. So she's all pissed off because she was excited to go back to Mandalore and rule, but without the Darksaber, no one's gonna follow her.
She was once a princess.
It's basically just the staff. It's like the king's
so they
staff.
have their own separate. The irony there is she rolls her eyes at the dogma of the other, but then she's under this sort of like royal family dogma of like she who holds the saber gets to be the queen, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's a good
and then I
fucking
guess
point.
the idea is based, which is what they told us in the last episode when she couldn't get it. All her followers were like, "Man, this bitch ain't legit."
Yeah.
Right? That was the
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah.
Do I remember them?
Man,
in
so
the
she
last-
can-
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, sub question.
Sub quest.
So how come she just picked up the dark saber and kicked the shit out of the Sentinel from the Matrix, which was a cool scene, by the way.
Really
but
cool.
I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
she couldn't use the dark saber because.
You can use it.
Okay.
It just doesn't belong to her. You have to. The only way to to have it, to own it, is to win it in battle.
Okay.
So
I
technically-
misunderstood that. I thought it was like some sort of
Yeah.
like magical contract, or it wouldn't answer to you unless it's more just
No.
like a belief structure or a I don't even know what, like a hierarchy.
it
It's
is.
not-
I think it's an illusion thing, because they even said it in the final episode of season.
It doesn't
2,
have any power.
Where you can just take it. It doesn't have any power like
It's
that.
not magic.
It does.
Got it.
It does when they were wielding. You notice when Mando wields it, he has a real hard time with it because he doesn't believe he earned it or something. Remember in the Boba Fett episode where they were where he was training with the I don't know, the old Mando girl that says you have to go get redeemed. He was having a real hard time holding it. It's like super heavy for him.
Yeah.
Because you have to believe in it, and so it does have that kind of magical power to
Yeah,
it.
Mando's
So
not
it's
as
very
proficient,
interesting.
is he?
No, he has a hard time with it, and watching she wants it, and obviously is very good at with the darksaber because she was wielding that thing like it was a lightsaber, and Mando holds it like it's a two-handed huge ass sword.
I noticed
so-
that because that's why I asked the question, because she picked it up and I was like, this girl knows what she's doing with this thing. I mean, I know it's not the way, but a part of me is thinking, can't they just quietly say to each other with no one around, like, just tell everybody you beat me and you're the boss. Like, clearly you can wield this thing better than me. You've got all the desire. And so that like kind of also answers another sub question that I had, which is, okay, yes, the planet's all fucked up and destroyed and in tatters, but she knows the air is safe and has forever. Like, why haven't all the Mandalorians, like, is her group of small followers who now are none, are they the only ones who believe it's not poisoned? I guess I want to know why all the Mandalorians haven't returned after the destruction. Like, it seems
that
like
part to me is like
where's
a big hole.
Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
not alone in the confusion on like why they're not like, let's rebuild. Like, where's the rebuild spirit of their
it's
planet?
funny because watching it, because when you mention it, I'm like, you're right. Why is that? But I was having so much fun watching it that I kind of.
I guess if you think about it, I'm not going to go to Chernobyl and just like poke around. I'm going to be like, yeah, it's probably fucked.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. That's why the core question to me is, who believes what about the state of the planet amongst the remaining Mandalorians in the galaxy? Because, again, the super religious folks we know think it's poisoned. There's your explanation.
Yeah.
That's why they're not going. Bo-Katan and her crew, regardless of whether or not she was the leader or not, you'd think if they're... I guess the thing is they just all seem so passionate about Mandalore, right? That's the way they've presented all of this. And it seems weird that even if she's not technically the leader, that group with Bo-Katan wouldn't have gone back and like made a little camp and then try to start a new colony somewhere. It's like the planet exists, clearly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Also, side note, does she just hang out alone in this palace, bored and sad all the time?
Yeah, she looks
Every time we
depressed.
see this woman, she's just like, well, I guess
Ever
I'll
since
just
Mando,
wait here.
she just. I mean, she
All
had
my
this giant plan
friends.
of getting that saber,
Yeah.
and she was like, "I'm gonna get this saber. I'm gonna get it from Moff Gideon." And then Mando comes along and just beats Moff Gideon's ass and takes the saber. And now she's like, "Well, shit."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. Again, none of this is hanging. I just couldn't help but feel like it's convenient that she's just depressed and alone and in this chair all of the time whenever we need
Yeah.
her to be
Real
around.
close to Mandalore.
Yeah, like the moon
Right on
is
that
right
moon.
there. You'd think that she'd go and like set up a new palace on Mandalore.
Yeah.
But whatever, that's here nor
screw.
there.
Well, it's funny.
I like her droid. It's a cool looking droid.
Droid's
Oh, yeah.
cool. I mean, to be clear, I really enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed
Cool.
it more than the last one. It was like
Yes.
the fight scenes, the vibe, it just felt a little like spookier. It felt. Yeah, I was with you, CG. All my concerns about the stakes of this storyline, I was like, oh, good. We're going to get this sorted in the second episode. We're not going to
Done.
spend 10
Yeah.
episodes trying to find the minds of Mandalore.
Yeah.
So whatever
I was
is
so
or isn't
happy
going to
about
happen
that.
is like, okay, good. This isn't the story of the season.
Yeah.
Did he get pulled down into the water, or did
Yeah, what the
From
fuck?
the
Did it
mythosaur.
just sink?
Yeah. So Here's my theory, and this is why I think it's probably going to mess you up here.
Yeah.
She was kind of reading. Remember, she's like, I'm going to give you the whole tour, the whole thing, and I'm going to read this plaque. And she was reading it like as if the mythosaur didn't really exist, that it's all, see, that you guys are just have this make-believe religion. And then there's this moment where after she sees the mythosaur, where she's like, oh, shit, this is real. It was almost like the sense of, oh, this is real. Maybe there is something to this. And one of them's going to ride that mythosaur.
Totally. I had the same thought. Because that's the whole... Curtis, did you remember that scene that he's talking about where she said that's the legend, is like the original Mandalorian leader tamed that beast?
Yeah, on that plaque.
Yeah.
And
that's why the insignia
was that dude's name Mandalore?
I don't know. I think the planet was Mandalore.
It's like the guy that invented the sandwich. His last name was Sandwich.
Yeah.
So then then now we're all eating sandwiches. But okay, killer. Yeah, okay, yeah. But that fucking mythosaur, he looks scary.
I'm with you, CG.
Big old beast.
You know, he or Bo-Katan is gonna ride that fucker at some point, and that's gonna be great.
Someone's riding that goddamn mythosaur.
When he came in when the Naboo starfighter came in, it was Grogu, and how awesome was Grogu's escape scene? Just
totally.
It was so awesome seeing, and like how Grogu's kind of taking on being a Mando. It's like you got to know how to navigate. You got to know how to.
I like that dad moment where you had to know maps.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
The
like
flip into the vehicle. He's like jumping around doing flips and shit. It's funny
cool.
because I fucking hated that shit in the prequels with Yoda. But for some reason with Grogu, it doesn't. I think mostly because they're being tasteful about it. He's not like jumping off. He's not like fucking parkouring all over every episode. You know what I mean?
That Yoda shit did not work.
Oh yeah. But she said when Grogu arrives, she's like, "Let's finish him once and for all. Like I'm gonna kill this guy." Yeah. So I mean,
did she think she was gonna kill him?
I thought that at first. Yeah. And then she says afterwards, I told him to leave me alone. Because I had the same thought. I was like, Jesus, she's coming in hard. And then moments later, she was more just like, we need to make, she says something like, he needs to understand I just want to be left alone. So I don't know if I thought that, and then I downshifted after she said the next line.
I think
she's just being, I think she's just poopy pants. Just hanging out in her room.
I thought she said finished him once and for all. Maybe I misheard it.
I think she said it, dude. I think that, we were probably even meant to think that she was going to come in hot, but who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way.
But she was pissed. But then she wasn't. And then she's like, I guess I'll help this motherfucker again. But then maybe she really just wants the saber. But then again, she did have the chance. Well, you know what? Wait, did he have the saber with him when he sunk?
So, no. When the mythosaur took him.
Did the mythosaur take him?
We don't really know, but that's the implication.
Well, I got the implication. So he took off all of his stuff. I was hoping he'd get naked, and then he went in the waters, and I believe the mythosaur grabbed him. And then she went in after him.
I must have missed it when you said that.
Is there something to be mined informationally, if that's a word, with why he was taken but she wasn't?
Well, she used her jetpack.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe if it's a good question to ask. If she was in the water, would the same thing have happened? But the thing is, a good point is that you're making, Paul, is if she lived on that planet not too long before that, I'm sure people have bathed in those waters before, and nobody was taken. She seemed pretty shocked that this happened, and pretty shocked to see the mythosaur.
True. Also, as an extension of that, could there be like a Targaryen thing going on? Like, is she a descendant of the... Because she's part of some family. Could she be
she's some big house,
Yeah, like a descendant of the original person that tamed this thing?
The original sandwich
guy?
Well,
that she might be like next in line to tame this thing and reclaim the leadership position?
Well, the blacksmith lady is like... Bo-Katan comes from a very esteemed family.
Right.
And she did rule before the Great Purge. Bo-Katan was the ruler of Mandalore.
Right.
During when the fucking Empire came and started bombing everything to glass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, Paul. There's somebody said like almost the mythosaur picked Mando. Because if people were bathing in that pool, and it seemed like this was the first time she ever saw this creature.
Oh, yeah.
And if he just walked into that pool and all of a sudden, bam, here's the mythosaur, it seemed like, wow, I've never seen this before.
I
didn't know the mythosaur was so big.
Yeah, I got the vibe that the mythosaur gave her a hall pass. Like when she picks him up and she's ascending back out, that moment where she sees it and acknowledges it, and it clearly looks at her with its big eye, to me indicated that this thing sees her, acknowledges her, and made an active choice to not fuck with her the way with Mando. It like grabbed his ass and dragged him to the bottom with I assumed that was with malintent to try to drown him. But somehow this thing saw her and was like, "You good?"
Yeah, maybe she's the chosen one. Between how she wields that Darksaber and if the mythosaur is just like giving her a pass, it does almost seem like she's the chosen one and not Mando.
Yeah, it seems honestly, like, I don't know if it's just a Darksaber or what, but she's way more of she's way better of a fighter. She saved Mando's ass twice this fucking episode.
Oh, she could.
Between Mando and R5, like they're
fighting.
just a bunch of fuck ups this episode.
Dude, Mando, when you go back and I watched some episodes of Mando, he takes a lot of like blasters. He's just relying on his armor. Like he's not the best fighter in the world. And watching Bo-Katan just rip people up, that guy gave me Count Dooku vibes. The creature that got Mando.
Oh really?
In this episode.
Oh wait, you mean
I
not
don't
Count
think
Dooku, but the other guy.
Not Count Dooku. What's his name? Grievous. General Grievous.
Yeah, I mean, you know what?
I don't think I even remember who that is.
If I were to have one thing
but
that kind of bugged me, some of the designs didn't seem Star Warsy to me. But I'm okay with shit kind of like being inspired, because those creatures didn't look like they really belonged in the Star Wars world.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a massive universe and stuff, but it still all kind of feels like it fits. And then also that creature also felt very prequel to me.
Yeah, it's a very
Matrix-y.
You could almost. Yeah,
Matrix-y
it looked like it was
sure.
just a TV screen eye. It didn't look like a real eye in the thing.
Yeah.
It just looked like a TV screen eye.
He totally probably fits in
think
the prequels, but not in the original designs.
Yeah.
I did think it was cool that you didn't know how much of it was an actual creature until she chopped off the head, and you realize, oh, the creature is only the small, tiny thing in the head, and the walking around body was just like one little vehicle for that tiny creature, and then there was the big one.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting. I think you're right, Curtis.
Cybernetics are a thing, though, in Star Wars, but clearly.
Yeah,
you agree with me, I see.
I agree with you, but I also checked that as soon as it entered my brain because of what you also said, which is that in theory, the fun thing about Mandalorian is we get to see more of the galaxy that we never saw. So inevitably, like what we consider looking like Star Wars from a creature standpoint is really a matter of imagination, as opposed to who the like conceptual artists are for the show and what they're inspired by. You know what I mean?
Because
if they're inspired by Star Wars creatures, totally. So I know what you're saying. There's like a balance between making sure the inspiration is in line with previous Star Wars, but also not restricting, like losing the potential excitement of seeing new things and finding the sweet spot between those two things.
That's true. Yeah, it's hard because you want to have new things, but at the same time, that's a good point.
We want it, but we also want it to look like fucking the original. Like I know the Naboo fighters totally.
I know,
threw me
right?
off.
It's just
these poor bastards.
I thought.
Yeah,
it looks so good. Like the show looks so good that when they were leaving
that glass
Mos
planet
Eisley
cool, man.
that fuck, I didn't think I was gonna like a ship more than the Razor Crest, but that Naboo starfighter, that little hot rod starfighter ship is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I never thought I would even like a Naboo starfighter.
Yeah,
and it's just like it's like it feels like a show again. Like just the timing of he's flying out there, you got the fireworks, and then that Mando music hits, dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
It just gets me fucking pumped.
Boon to fucking eat,
but
man.
it's fun. I very much enjoyed this episode more than the last episode.
Yeah. Well, and agreed. And I think it also largely because it addressed the majority of whatever concerns I had in the first one. There was like, okay, good. This isn't, that was a big deal for my brain. And I think it was just more fun. I think this episode was,
so
whatever. Spoiler alert, I like darker things. So the fact that it was kind of spooky and whatever else just kind of, I was just more into that in general.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Was funny how we just totally dropped the IG-11 thing. Like, that was like... And the funny thing about first episodes of a season is you don't know where it's going to go. So it's like, is this the plot for the whole thing? And then we're like, okay, but I forget that Mando does move like that. It tends to move pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great.
In terms of...
I love it. 30-minute episodes that kind of cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, although I will say, when I sat down to watch this morning, this was a 45-minute episode. This one was like a good 15 minutes.
It was long.
It was longer than the last.
Oh, really?
Like 45 minutes is long by Mandalorian standards.
Yeah, that's just as long as Andor.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It was great.
That's why
It was
it
good
took
across
so
the
long to
board.
recap.
It was fun that R5D4 is, confirmed that it's
I
the
prefer
same
that.
droid.
Yeah.
That's kind of
I
a fun
prefer that
throwback.
over the IG-11. Yeah.
It does seem a little like this episode was better. It also makes the last episode go down a notch in hindsight too, because
Yes.
again, the whole
Yes,
events of that
absolutely.
episode were based around a thing that no one ultimately, like, it was so important that it was this droid. So the things that I thought were a little hokey in the last episode are now even more hokey because they weren't
hokey?
necessary.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute,
Yeah,
it could have been fucking any shitty old R5 droid.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
He was so hell-bent.
Flew all the way to this fucking planet, gets this thing, rips down the statue, gets the fucking pocket-sized
Yeah.
mechanics to work
Dude.
on it.
He doesn't believe like the little Babu Fricks, and then asks Amy Sedaris characters like, we don't have that. It's like, well, shit. I guess that's done.
Also,
by the way,
I'll just
I was
pressurize
so
my helmet.
excited. Yeah.
Are they
I
painting
was excited
Mandalorian
that
as like
R2
not really
unit was
knowing
there.
what the fuck he's doing? Now that you guys are mentioning all this stuff, like he's just kind of
I
floundering.
don't know. He's just flying around, man. He's just, he's a space cowboy.
Yeah,
He's
totally.
a space cowboy.
I mean, obviously, he's going to get into some more shit from more stories, but it is interesting, like, from the perspective of the character. I guess the idea is he's just going to go redeem himself and then what, go back to chasing bounties in his mind? I mean, I know that won't be the story, but I wonder what he's after that.
Yeah, dude.
I like that I don't know again. Like for me, it's good to see that, I don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
That was a pretty big ending for this episode, so I'm excited to know, because the last episode was like, okay, he wants to go bathe in the Russian baths like Curtis is, but now it's like, well, they just had this huge encounter with the Mythosaur. He owes Bo-Katan big time. Mm-hmm. Now I don't really know what's going to happen, which I really enjoy.
Life
I
that
like
like Chewie.
feeling.
But yeah, dude, I actually don't really have any any idea or any hypotheses on what may come now. Which I think is fun.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
he
which
bathed,
is fun.
He saw.
He did bathe.
I'm very
I mean,
excited for the next one.
Clearly, there's going to be some sort of, I don't mean conflict like a violent conflict, but these two belief structures within the world of the Mandalorians that are left is about to come to a head, right? Because now that he's out of there, he can go back and be like, yo, took my bath, I'm good now. P.S., y'all are wrong. Planet's not poisoned. If you want to roll back up, and then you get into that, like, okay, well, if they're going to roll back up because Mando tells them it's not poisoned, is Bo-Katan going to be like, whoa, if anyone's going to roll up and make a new colony on Mandalore, I'm trying to do this because I'm the heir to the throne, so to speak. But again, if that's the case, why has she been hanging out in a room listening to Nirvana mad on the other planet this whole time instead of trying to make a new town on Mandalore? Again, that's where my best guess will be some component of what comes next is like how new information for the remaining Mandalorians and what they do with it is going to be interesting.
She listening to that new Sice Noodles CD.
Yeah. Well, she did mention how their kind fought. So I got the sense from when they were talking that his creed of people and the ones that think it's okay to take your helmet off, it sounds like they used to battle a lot. And then she's like, we just used to fight each other when we should have been, fighting for each other.
Fighting the Empire.
So it sounds like, it's fighting the Empire. So it sounds like those two were bumping heads and fighting each other and killing each other.
Hey,
so they're either gonna, I think they're either gonna fight again or they're gonna connect.
Well, it could be I
Hopefully
kinda
they
hope
learn.
it's the
Helmets
connect.
on, baby.
And CG, I
Me
think
too.
you were astute to point out that it did seem like, again, maybe we're reading too much into it. We'll find out in coming episodes that her seeing the Mythosaur, I don't even know if that's exactly what it's called, but I'm just going to keep calling it that.
Oh yeah, it's the
That
great
was like
Mythosaur.
some. I also read it the way you did, that she was having some sort of a realization like, oh, interesting.
Oh.
Maybe not all of this lore is bullshit. And I wonder if that will soften her a little more to the dogmatic sect of them, because all right, maybe this whole helmet thing's a little over the top, but it's sort of like y'all fucking Baptists and your snake charming need to slow down. However, I've seen God now, and that's a real thing. You know what I mean?
I just saw
it's
the
like,
snake.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe there's like a compromise or like a potential or not, or you're right, or it's just about to be a fucking civil war between sections of the Mandalore.
Could be.
Either way, it makes for great fucking television.
Yeah. Dude, I'm pumped again. Yeah, she was reading it like the mythosaur, like read this stupid plaque and how it talks about how it used to be. And yeah, what's his name? And who played the guy in the first season? Your ancestors rode the great mythosaur.
I love that guy.
Oh yeah, fucking.
He was the best. I have spoken.
Nick Nolte. Doesn't Nick Nolte do
Nick
that voice?
Nolte,
48
baby.
hours.
Rest in peace.
I almost said Ron Perlman, but
Blue chips.
What about what was I going to ask? Shit, speculating about what was going to come next. Oh yeah, I still wonder when, like, Ahsoka has to show up in this season, right? Just if nothing else, as a tie-in to the eventual series that comes next.
They'll do it. That's a big question
Yeah.
mark.
I mean, Bo-Katan and Ahsoka are close. They're buds.
That's kind of that's where I'm going with this.
Oh,
I
they're
wonder
friends?
if there's some scenario where,
With benefits?
yeah, aren't they? Didn't they show up in an episode?
Yeah, definitely. They hang out. They hang out in Rebels.
Oh, okay.
And that's Bo-Katan said, go to this planet and meet this Jedi. And
Got
that was
and that happened in
season
the last
2.
season, yeah?
last
season 2?
Yep.
Okay. I
Where
couldn't remember if that
he
was-
got that Beskar. Man, I wish he kept that fucking Beskar spear.
Oh, yeah, where is that?
They melted it. They melted it down because they said Beskar shouldn't be used for a weapon. It should be used for armor.
Is that what they made
got all
Grogu's
these
little
rules.
Grogu's little mithril.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot he
Which
still has
sucked,
that
'cause
thing.
That was the best fighting Mando did, is when he had that spear.
Yeah,
Remember he was
totally.
fighting Moff Gideon with that thing?
I'm with you. That
And
thing was
then they
badass.
Especially, I was like, well, he's got the Darksaber now, but he's so damn clunky with it. I was like, where's that spear at?
Yeah, so
Yeah, Mando
what
has
you
no-
took away, CG, is that he has to like learn. He has to have more belief to
You
wield
have
that
confidence. Well, if you go to the, what is it, the Book of Boba Fett, they have that episode where he's training with the blacksmith Mando, and she's like, you have to believe, you have to. It senses your something,
Well,
like
shit,
you're not
I forgot about
confident,
that.
or and like he was dragging it like it weighed 300 pounds. And Bo-Katan has the confidence of a leader, and obviously whips that thing around like it's nothing.
Yeah,
Fucking
right.
A.
So did Moff Gideon. I guess Mando just either needs to find the confidence or needs to hand it over to Bo.
Speaking of Moff Gideon,
I'm pumped.
who's going to be the big baddie? There has to be some sort
Well,
of
that's
big baddie. It's
Yeah.
not
That's
going
where
to
I
be
was
that
kinda going with
dickweed
this.
space pirate, right?
No, fuck. I
Well,
hope
we're
not.
coming in. If they're,
I like that
I get
guy.
the sense that maybe with like adding Babu Frick is because we have to wonder when is it that the new Empire,
Oh, yeah.
like gonna show up.
It's got to start soon,
Because
right?
we're after Return. Yeah, it's.
Like
I
the
mean,
New
we're
Order?
not. I mean, you got. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
what is it? 20 years? What? When is the sequels?
I mean,
after
in
Return?
theory, can't Snoke be showing up soon?
Yeah.
Right?
They're probably
But, yeah, I
trying
mean,
to clone his ass at the moment.
Yeah.
Or I say they.
so-
Somehow Palpatine returns.
Yeah. Somehow.
Jesus fucking
So
Christ.
yeah, we do. You're right. We do need a villain. We need somebody.
Yeah. I wonder who that'll
to
be.
that.
I mean,
I'm
technically,
excited about it.
Palpatine is the villain. Or fuck, who knows? Maybe. God, I don't like that. The
I don't
whole
know.
thing about Palpatine.
I don't
coming
like
back.
that.
I know. It's
could've
hard to
worked,
know
man.
how much.
But it
It's
didn't.
hard to know how much Favreau and Filoni like that. Like how much they, because I'm sure they've got lots of choices, and they could, because of the
Yeah.
canon, they could lean into that Palpatine cloning Snoke thing if they wanted to. But if they're like us and they're very quietly in the privacy of their own conversations, like, man, Abrams was whack on that storyline. Let's not,
Well,
yeah.
we're not going to contradict it, but let's not work with it either.
It's a good amount of
Well, they
time
have
because
time,
Luke's
too.
old
Yeah, it's like 20 years
in those
Yeah,
things,
it's like
and now
20
Luke's
years
kind of young
after.
and whipping ass as of like 3
Yeah.
episodes ago.
Right.
That's
I
true.
keep having
I think
to refresh my
I think they
memory
got a
of the
20-year
timeline.
gap.
Okay.
So this is right after Return. Season 1 Mando's right after Return of the Jedi.
We're pretty darn
So
close.
If say we're 3 years, so we got another 17 years before the start of the prequels.
Do we know it's been 3 years, or are we just saying it because it's 3 seasons?
I'm just saying that because it's
Yeah.
3 seasons. It
Yeah.
could be less, could be more.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Well, damn.
I wonder if they will
Fascinating.
at any point. Yeah, I wonder if they'll give us any sort of like reference that serves as like a mile marker in the timeline to kind of like
Yeah.
quietly,
That's a
FYI,
good
we're
point.
now X number of years leading up to A New Hope, or excuse me, up to Force Awakens, just so people know where we're at as a. Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you, CG. It's fun to not know. It's fun that we're all sitting here speculating about who the villain is. It's
Yeah.
fun to speculate about how the Mandalorians are going to interact with each other now. I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
again, I leave this episode sort of in the opposite place I did the last episode, where I was like, I don't know, is this plot going to be whack? And now I'm like, fucking cool.
Oh.
I have no idea. This is fun and
just-
exciting.
I just had
is
a
fun.
thought. Sorry to cut you off.
Please.
Because I'm thinking they did the space whales. So Rebels
fuck.
takes
Thanks
place
for the
5
reminder.
years before 5 years before A New Hope.
Okay.
And the villain in that, what's his name? They mention him. They mention his name at the season finale of season 2, Mando. God, he's the blue guy. He's the villain in that. I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up because he
Thrawn.
disappears with Ezra.
Thrawn.
What's that? Yes,
Is it-
Thrawn.
I only know the name because I know, you know me in the animated and the books. I don't do that shit,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
do know enough to know that he's like the big Imperial bad guy, right?
Yeah.
I'm down
I
with Thrawn
think
coming
I
in.
just had that when you said, yeah, I
Well,
just
and
had
doesn't
that thought.
Ahsoka have a whole? Doesn't she have a big hard on for Thrawn?
Yeah,
That's kinda
she says,
her
"Where's
nemesis."
Thrawn?" And
Yeah.
so she was looking for Thrawn.
So you can assume that Thrawn will definitely be a component of her series. Although, do we
Yeah.
know for sure? Has it been confirmed when in the timeline the Ahsoka series takes place?
I have no idea when the
Oh,
Ahsoka-
interesting. I don't know either. If anyone watching this knows, please chime in and tell us, because that would actually kind of blow a hole in my thing about she
Yeah.
has to show up. For all we know, that series could be a prequel set to The Mandalorian, and when we saw her in this series, it could be cover the stuff you're talking about right now. But would they do that? Would they retread what they've already covered in Rebels, though?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they do like what happens to Ahsoka after Order 66 and her life. They touched on that they just did that. Those short animateds were actually Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Those weren't bad.
Actually, those were actually pretty good. I actually
No?
enjoyed that.
They
If
weren't-
they had made the Clone Wars like that, I probably would have enjoyed because they were serious.
Yeah, sure.
They weren't cartoony like the Clone Wars were. That super this morning on Star Wars. It was more of a serious animated.
Yeah.
Like I don't love animated stuff, but if they had done the Clone Wars like that, I definitely would have enjoyed
Clone Wars
it.
are more like Saturday
more.
morning cartoons. I think
Yeah,
they're more
it's Saturday
geared
morning
towards
cartoons.
kids, but maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't like them.
I
Yeah.
hated Clone Wars, but I did like the Tales. I thought the Tales of the Jedi episodes.
Yeah,
were
that shit was fun.
pretty Sweet.
I bet
It
they'll
does
do
seem
more
like
of
they
those.
wouldn't. Like, they're not going to go back and do live action of what they've already covered, right? Like, I'm sure there'll be flashbacks in Ahsoka series about her
Yeah.
backstory, but I guess.
But there's
I
that
could be wrong.
timeline between. Well, they only did one episode with her where she was in hiding. And it was like an 8-minute episode. So
Okay.
there is that huge time, like where the heck is Ahsoka after Order 66 and after Return of the Jedi? Because
Yeah.
I mean, you think about this huge battle in the OG trilogy. Where the hell was Ahsoka?
Well, how
Yeah.
about this? Where was
so-
Ahsoka in episode 2? Where was she in episode 3? Where was she in
Yep, 3.
episode 4? Where was she in episode
Yep.
5? Where was she in episode 6, 7, or 8? What the fuck?
It's dumb.
Sorry.
I'm with you, Curtis.
When I was like, who the hell? Yeah.
I know.
Anyway,
It's
we'll
great.
See. I'm
It's
excited.
almost
with
as if
you.
she
It's
was
like-
just made up.
Yeah.
I'm with
Just
you.
to have
It's
a
like
fucking
her
character.
does seem cool, but you're right. It's like when you create these new characters that are supposed to be super badass Jedi types, you're right. It's like it does fly in the face a little bit, right? Like the last of the Jedi will you be?
Yeah.
Minus this badass Rosario Dawson that's cruising
Yeah.
around with dual lightsabers,
Yeah.
fucking shit
Oh,
up.
yeah.
I mean, there is a
like Gone
loophole.
Rogue.
She did
Even in
quit
Rebels.
the Jedi, but like,
Oh,
come
that's
on,
right.
man.
She's not
y'all gonna
technically a
y'all
Jedi,
gonna have to
right.
Yeah.
y'all gonna
Okay.
fucking like
But-
look for her card when like Darth Vader and the Emperor out trying to kill everyone and be like, oh, yeah, she.
But then
she
they
doesn't
act
really,
like-
she's not part of the club anymore.
Yeah, no, she doesn't. Well, you
But
go
if-
to Rebels, and you have two Jedis that say they're Jedis with Ezra and what's his name, the wolf guy, the blind guy, and they're badass Jedis fighting Darth Vader and shit. And they make Luke Skywalker in the OG trilogy look like he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Yet Luke's the most powerful one.
Yeah.
And yet there's this other Jedi floating around in space summoning space whales that is clearly more powerful than Luke Skywalker.
Well,
It's just make up your mind. Yeah.
Here's a question, and I think this would be fun. I'm sure some others won't. In the same way, I think it's whack that Luke, for some reason, made this, Grogu had to choose between having friends or learning the ways of the Jedi, which of course is contradictory to Luke's entire story arc, but whatever. We've already been over that topic. It'd be nice if Ahsoka, who apparently, and I could be getting this wrong, so you guys tell me, or for people watching know otherwise, please chime in the comments and tell me. If she's sort of this rogue force, left the Jedi Order, has been kind of cruising around as like a rogue agent, but clearly a badass, that if Luke's going to make Grogu say, you can't learn the Jedi way. Maybe Ahsoka's like, I got you. I'll teach you some shit.
Yeah.
And maybe that's how Ahsoka shows up in this season, is she starts teaching Grogu more about the Force in a non-Jedi dogma sort of a way. But since clearly she's down with the Force and isn't, sucking the Jedi dick anymore, metaphorically, of course.
No way.
Does Grogu get killed by...
It's not allowed. It's not allowed.
Kylo Ren. Does Grogu end up getting killed by Kylo Ren? That would suck.
Dude.
Ooh.
No.
Well,
I
right?
wish he'd take that tiny little lightsaber that Luke made for him. I was like, shit, I want to see Grogu work this little. But
well, you mean Curtis in the Kylo Ren flashback where? The idea that
Kylo Ren
hunts
go
down,
rogue and kill a few Jedi.
He kills all of them. Yeah, he kills everybody in the camp or whatever.
I guess that's what I was going to say.
Luke had a little training ground.
But if he only killed the ones at Luke's camp, and Grogu's already said no to Luke's choice, then I would assume Grogu would not. Yeah,
Grogu's not in that camp, as far as we think. Unless
but that's a good question, Curtis.
Story, they could go.
What does the sequel trilogy say? Does he go down Darth Vader style? Because clearly he's trying to continue that tradition and just started out with all the people at Luke's camp and then proceeded to find any other potential Jedi all over the galaxy and hunt them down as well? Because you're right. If that's the case, maybe there will be. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
It's fun to not know.
These are just questions. What do you guys... you guys are sound people. I think the sound design is awesome in this.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
I did visually, sound-wise, music, visual, all of the... I think it looks amazing.
Yeah.
It just looks so
Yeah, we don't
good.
have that problem on this one that we had on Obi-Wan where everything kind of felt claustrophobic. These feel like real worlds and expansive environments. I think they spent too much money on Ewan, dude, or something. And then also, what's his name? Hayden. And then maybe they just didn't have the effects budget. But dude, I don't fucking know. I need the spreadsheets right now.
Chow could have just not been up to it. Maybe she can't make something feel epic and big.
She wanted to do it raw. I wanted it. I think did she say something like that? She wanted it to be more raw and emotional. Then it's like, well, then don't. Then
I think she could probably pull off good scripts, man. That's just like a whack ass script.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm feeling good. I'm excited about the next episode.
Feels good.
Lots of theories. Don't know, but yeah.
Feels good to not know. Feeling way more stoked than before. I'm good. I got nothing else. If you guys want to chime in,
too.
Please, send us videos. You know the deal. Like, subscribe, comment, tell everybody. If you send us videos of thoughts and questions, Curtis will drop them in.
Yeah.
Get in the mix.
Send us a
Get in the
transmission.
vulture. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm good. CG, if you've got nothing else. Curtis?
Nope, I'm good.
I think I'm fucking ready to blow this jip stand.
Hell yeah.